Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to do a short little video here. I recently just finished the DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake called Intergrade or Intermission. I think it's just called Intergrade if you just got the PS4. Well, I guess it's only available on PS5. But anyways, just finished that DLC. It took me about 5 hours, and I just kind of wanted to give some of my thoughts and impressions on the DLC. First off, the DLC is I think $20 if you already have the PS5 version, I believe. I don't know. The way they did this was really like kind of confusing a little bit. So like you still had to pay for the DLC, but if you had Final Fantasy VII, the disc version, you can upgrade that for free if you have a PlayStation 5. And then from there you can purchase the DLC, the Intergrade. But then because it was on like the PlayStation Plus Game of the Month, or they do to like 3 or 4 games every month for free. And if you got Final Fantasy that way, then you're not eligible for the PS5 upgrade or the DLC or something like that. I don't know. It was a lot of confusing things. Thankfully, I had the disc version. I usually buy discs. Upgraded it for free, then bought the DLC, $20. But just going into kind of my review, some of the good, some of the bad. Overall, freaking loved this DLC. It was so good. This is like, when you think of good DLCs, like you think of like The Witcher. The Witcher had some fantastic DLCs, and this DLC was freaking great. I think it took me about 5 hours and like 30-ish minutes to complete the DLC from start to end. And I didn't even do everything. Like there was still plenty of stuff for me to do. That was just kind of me completing the story. There's more summons that you can get. You can battle all the people in this board game type thing that's new. Yeah, so the story, basically you're playing as this new character called Yuffie. I've never played the original Final Fantasy, so all these characters are brand new to me. But you play as Yuffie, and eventually you run into her partner, Sonon. I think that's how they say his name, Sonon or Sonin. I always wanted to say Sonin, but I think it's Sonon. And it takes place during the same time as the events of Final Fantasy VII. So, just real quick, guys, this video will contain spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake if you guys haven't played that yet. So, because a lot of this takes place during the same time as that storyline. So, gameplay, fantastic. I really enjoyed playing as Yuffie, using the shuriken and the ninja stars and all those stuff, and like you can throw them. Kind of like Barret, she can hit faraway objects, but then also use it as like a melee weapon up close. So it was a lot of fun playing as her. There's not as many weapons, obviously, as the base game, because this is just a DLC. So Yuffie, I think I got 3 weapons, and Sonon, I got 3 weapons. And there could be more, but that's just all I've discovered. Like I said, I didn't 100% complete the DLC, but I did finish the story and most of the stuff that I could find in there. So, I loved, kind of going on to the next thing, I loved the combat between Yuffie and Sonon. Like, they work together, and it's weird, because it's not the traditional, like the last game, where you can kind of switch over to the next one. You don't really get to play as Sonon, but you can command Sonon, just like, you know, like if you're playing as Cloud, and your ATB bar fills for Tifa, you can have Tifa attack. So it's kind of similar to that, where I can make Sonon do certain attacks and abilities, but I can't actually run around and fight as Sonon. So I thought that was a little weird, but I mean, to be honest, this whole DLC was mainly focusing on Yuffie. So you play Yuffie from start to finish, and kind of they have like this cool thing that I really thought was cool, is that you can they like synchronize their battle styles or whatever, and if you hit the L2, I believe it was, you can synchronize with Sonon, and as long as you guys both have an ATB bar filled, you can do an attack, and you both do like feed off each other's like energy kind of thing, and you both do attack, and it does quite a bit of damage. So I thought that was really cool, something that we didn't see in the base game, and I thought that was freaking awesome. First off, that I really noticed right off the bat is because this is a PS5 exclusive DLC, which is kind of like a negative and a positive at the same time. We'll go with the negative first. I thought it was kind of odd that it was just PS5 only. And maybe it's because the graphics, I don't know, but I know a few of my buddies were pretty excited to play this new DLC, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to totally go get it, and then they get home and find out that it's just for PlayStation 5, so PS4 owners were not able to get this DLC. But kind of on top of that, to get this DLC, you had to have the PS5 update, and the game looks so good with the PS5 update. I mean, it looked good already, just normally, but with this PS5 update, like, it looks way better. The graphics are good. Like, just everything about it looks freaking crisp and fantastic. So I really, really like that. Going to the next one that I really liked is the summons. You only get one summon that I noticed during your DLC, and then once you beat it, you unlock another summon that you can get. So the first one was like Roham, or I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but he's like this wizard dude that does lightning, and he's freaking awesome. One of the coolest summons, I think, together with, even with Final Fantasy VII Remake, like both of them put together, this was one of my favorite summons. I still think my favorite summons is, what, I don't even remember what it was called. It's like Bohemet or something like that from... He's like the big dragon, literally looks like Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! That one is still, I think, my favorite summon, but this one was definitely a close second. Like, having him do his special moves and his finisher at the end just looks so cool with the lightning flashing everywhere and stuff. And then the other summon you can get is, I believe his name was Weiss, the Executioner or something like that, some dude with white hair. I didn't really recognize him. He looked familiar, and I don't know if he was in the first game or the base game or not. I'd have to kind of double check. I have not gotten his summon yet, and I am planning on doing it. But that was one that I got at the end. It was kind of like after you beat your first playthrough of this DLC, you can now unlock it. So it got some replayability because now I want to go unlock it and then kind of play through the game again having that summon. So see how it is, see how cool it is. So yeah, dude, the summons in this game, freaking awesome. I really loved them. Well, I should say that I only got to do one, but Weiss looks pretty cool, so I'm definitely going to try that as well. And then the boss fight at the end was super cool, like, what's his name, like Nero, something like that. And it was so cool. He had like these giant like metal wings, and he was like, had like black darkness coming out from the ground. It was such a cool boss fight. I really... kind of like with the summon, this boss fight was probably, like, even thinking about the base game and this one, it wasn't my favorite one because I still think Sephiroth was the best boss fight thus far in Final Fantasy VII, but this one was also a really good boss fight. I enjoyed fighting, what's his name? Nero, that's what it is, Nero. Super good boss fight. I freaking loved it. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how all the things that I really liked. Overall, you know, graphics awesome, gameplay was great. I loved the story. It does take place, like I said, during the same time frame as Final Fantasy VII, and you get to kind of see Yuffie's point of view, like what they're doing, and it was kind of cool to see their perspective, because like for instance, like when they drop the plate during Final Fantasy on the slums, we saw originally with Cloud and them, and they're all falling down with the plate, and they see the aftermath down on the ground. Well, with Yuffie, you get to see you're up on top of the plate, and you see the plate crashing down, and it's like big old fire and smoke, and excuse me. So you get to see just these major instances happening from a different perspective. Like even earlier in the game, like you hear about the Sector 5 like thing blowing up, Sector 5 blowing up, and Yuffie hears about this, but it, you know, so it's a different perspective of same events. So I thought that was really cool. And she's from Wutai, which is kind of in cahoots with Avalanche, but Avalanche is like their own sector, which is, you know, Cloud, Tifa, Barret, those guys. So it was really cool seeing a different perspective. I really like that. It kind of just adds more to the story than what we originally saw. Now, kind of going off some of the cons that I thought of, and they're not really cons because overall, dude, this DLC was fan-freaking-tastic. But some of the things that I guess would be like nitpicky, I guess, was I just wish that you had a little bit more control over Sonon. Like, I thought it would be cool. I mean, I totally get why, so it's not really like a bad thing, because his character and the way they designed it, and the way he is in the story, like, because I mean, this, I already said spoilers for this game. I mean, actually no, because he's technically not dead, but, so I guess we'll see. The answer is we'll see. But I just wish that we got to control Sonon more during battle than just to command him, kind of thing. So, and then the only thing that was kind of a letdown was just at the end, you have these end credit scenes, and you see, you know, our major characters from Final Fantasy. You see Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Red, and Aerith, and they're all walking like you do at the end. You see a little bit of Zack going back to the church looking for Aerith, and so you see it adds a little bit more to the story, and it shows them hitching a ride, and then it shows Yuffie riding on the chocobo, and this whole time I was like, oh, are they finally going to meet each other? Are they finally going to meet each other? And they did not. So I was kind of let down because I was really hoping that Yuffie would join the Avalanche squad at the very end of this, but we didn't at all. So I was a little disappointed by that. I really wish we could have seen that, but I'm sure they're saving that for maybe, you know, Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 or whatever. Maybe another DLC, who knows. But, yeah. I think I've kind of covered everything that I wanted to talk about. DLC was freaking good. Like I said, it took me about 5-ish and a half hours to complete, and I didn't even 100% anything, so very good DLC. As far as like rating it goes, dude, this was a 10 out of 10. Freaking, I loved this DLC so much, and it, I mean, definitely helps that I love Final Fantasy, but this DLC was perfect. It wasn't too long, had a lot of stuff to do, hooked me, had me engaged, so for DLC-wise, you know, it left me wanting more, but it was just enough, so maybe it can hold me over till, you know, more Final Fantasy comes out. But, yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. Have you guys played this Final Fantasy Intergrade yet? Let me know what you guys thought. And, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next one.